So let's look next for the light gel properties, and that is actually better to view if we're using spotlight, so we can see the projections it's creating on the ground. It's easy to understand. I do hide it sunlight below ground, so in this case we still have it slightly ambient lighting, but it is almost dark. And we'll create new spotlight and just place it up front of the camera, so we can preview right here a little bit lighting it's creating on our surface. So to access gel, we can right click and access from here edit gel or loaded gel. If we left click, it will open preloaded gel for us, or we can just right click on a spotlight and go to edit object, which is open for us option to edit in light editor. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click and enable light gel, and we have a few options. We can double time click or go to edit material for the light gel, or we can preload it. So let's go ahead, open our library, and you notice right here on the top on the library, if you have it just icons and you don't have it names, and I've found the name, sometimes it's useful for me to know what collections I want to access. You can change this by clicking on a gear, go down and enable show tab names on the tabs. Select this, click apply to all. If you want to apply to all type of the collections, we'll close it, and now you will have the names which appear. So what I'm going to do is right here we'll click on the light gels, and we can select one of them. You can notice we have a different color it, we have it presets, multiple ones. So I will just select the basic Gaussian, and the light gel, you can notice right here we already changed in preview. We have this natural type of the kind of light intensity changing on the projections on the ground. So this will provide a very nice effect that you not necessarily need to use just on the ground. Also, it's work, you can pre-animate those light gels because it's in the functions, and that will help you to create the Gaussian inside the water. So you can create it two ways. You can create just normal light source, add displacement to the water surface. If, for example, you do underwater kind of and you want this Gaussian coming, and you can render that way, which is take a little bit longer time to render because it's need to calculate displacement, the lights and deflection. Or you can just create a simple flood with no displacement and animate light gel and send directly from that, which is simulating, but it will create much faster render time, and you save a lot on resources. So right here you can see we have a light gel. We also have a different type of flood or a spherical, and many times it will affect when we have a different type of light source. Currently we'll still project just only in a flood area from this. Okay, so we have it access. Currently I want to disable light gel and look at the volumetric tab, and next we'll come back to see what is also effect will be light gel provide when we enable volumetric light. So in volumetric tab you'll notice we have it options enable, intensity, quality, cast shadows and smoke. So let's go first enable, and right here on the preview screen you'll notice we have it now cone appear, which is volumetric light creating point from our source. The volumetric light is actually creating the particles that glowing or light in the air, and we have it very nice options to detect and properly render. So I'm using quite a bit of volumetric lights in my scenarios when I create them, because it's create this density of the air. It's provide nice color density for me. So as we're looking on our volumetric and cone light, it's a good time to look also on the light properties in object property what we have it. So you'll notice we have it the color, power, softness, spread, fallout, and a view through. We look before when we look in the cameras how you can see through the camera and manipulating. It will also can apply to the light. So if we enable view through, now you can see our main view change to the spotlight. So on this point, if I'm going to rotate or modify it or adjusting, I'm using my spotlight and you can see right in our view to take my spotlight and point in direction I wanted. That is make much easier to target where the spotlight is lighting with this. Again, this is located through the view through. So let's go ahead, disable this for now. We want to preview from outside. So the color property, it's allowed us to change the color of the light source. You can see we change right here. Okay, power is how much light is intensity. So you can see 17 going about down projection. So let's go to increase, and you notice how the light's intensity as well, it's very well represented in our views. So if we increase, you can see right here how it will grow. So if we're going higher, it will start growing lights, or we can go just decreasing, make it smaller, and this kind of represent. Again, it does not necessarily represent where the lights stop. We can move, and you can see we have it right here, lights going, kind of growing. It just represents visually the power of the light. Again, if you needed to cut light on specific areas, that will work more in the lighting cutoff distance and other. We'll look on those one step a little bit later. So let's go back to Volumetric tab, and you notice right here we have it, our power. The softness, it's provide light softness and fallout from center of the point. I do like use it softness when I render because it's provide nice, smooth, soft shadows from the light. However, the problem is as soon when you increase, you'll notice now we start having all this grainy effect. It's meaning you will need increase quality of the render and quality of the render light, which is will be quite a bit heavy on resources and render time. So it's a plus and minuses. And the reason is how the view calculating. Actually, it's take a particles of each in the air and realistically render radiosity and how much light to pass between each particles and split. You can some adjust of these problems inside the render options. We'll look on those later in different series of this tutorial when we go to more in render options. But in those options you can specify how far you want particles going in render, which we can smooth even more. But again, it will come with a price of increasing render time. Okay, let's take it down to softness spread. You'll notice in this case we have a cone, and if we want to make wider or shorter, so we can modify how much we want spread from our point of light. Some of the properties won't apply to all lights, and it's for reason. For example, if you have a total round, and we'll look when we look on those lights, if we have a spotlight, if we have the direction light or light panels, there will be a little bit different properties, but this way we kind of understand how they all work. They also fallout, it's work from intensity, most intense circuit to the fade. So think about fallout, it's somewhat fading. So you can see right here we can minimize to make more center render, and this is all will be our fallout, where the light start to decay from power of the 70 to the 0. So it's kind of in some way gradients will apply this way. So I'm going to increase our type so we can preview right here with a full power, you can see, and we have it fallout. The reasons why, because it's good time to look on the properties for our gel. So we have some volumetric properties, and we can enable cast shadow. We also can work on boost additional intensity if we need it, which is separate from the power. The intensity is how many particles will calculate inside. And we can also enable smoke and dust. And I do like use this. It creates this natural unevenness, but not just on the directional. It is in a z-axis, so it will creating from light source and even to the projections. So what I was meaning by this, let's look back in the gel, and we re-enabled our gel. Let's go to preloaded. And you'll notice we have this lines now on the gel. So let's preview. And I'm just going to preview mode screen. So we'll go to render this. Again, it's in a preview mode. And you'll notice right here with light gel, we have those line strikes. But notice the light strikes, they're going kind of apply gel and make darker lines. But if we're going from the top and we take same line all the way down, you notice the intensity is exactly the same. So it's just line going from top to bottom, which is work very well. If we're going inside the volumetric and we enable smoke, dust, and light beam, and we'll just use it same. We could take a little bit and create a little bit more contrast, kind of, a little bit more contrast on this. So let's go to render now. Okay, and you'll notice right here, we not just have a light strike, we also have a difference in the lighting from light source down. So it's create almost like animation, smoke going inside. In some cases, it does not look realistic, but when I use it for create kind of density in my atmosphere, I normally enable them. It's create more interesting, this uneven, realistic type of atmosphere in a scenery. Okay, this is smoke, dust, and light beam, and we can control this by using a function editor. So we can open preloaded, or we can go to edit directly in function editor. And don't be scared about function editor. We'll go in details in our different series, which will creating more in depth looking in a view, and we'll look on the function editor and all properties there. So we'll be a little bit more familiar this way. We also have it a scale, and we have a filter. You notice already I was editing this filter. It's how light you want to distribute from the power and a distance. So it's, you can modify this, or you can also just click and preload it, those filters from already pre-created. So just as example, we can apply leather type steps, and you will notice it's kind of applying them. So again, we have a different type intensity applied, and notice below we have a quality boost. Here is also one of the options you can increase. If you have it some of those grainies you want to get rid of, you can increase quality boost of the smoke and also render, so reduce a little bit of the grainies. But you also want to modify this when you render. Okay, and right here you can notice our gels was applied. So on preview, we have our volumetric light. So let's go next, we'll look on a shadows option.